What's up, y'all? Snipes-n-Snarfblatts, your unauthorized place for Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm just going to get this out the way real quick and get it out my system. We just had an incredible night, having an incredible time with some incredible fans, and an incredible double feature of Incredibles 1 and Incredibles 2, and it was just totally incredible. Alright, yeah, I got that out the way. I'm just going to jump right into it from there. Y'all, Incredibles, I really love this movie. And it came out at a weird time for me because it came out when I didn't have enough money to really go to the theater and see it. So my only experience with Incredibles has been from my home. And granted, I don't have the smallest TV in the world, but it by far is not a giant theater screen either. And for those that got to see this in IMAX for the first time, I know that was a real treat. But for me, this was the first time seeing it in a theater, period. And it really, really put this film into a new perspective for me. Like, I love this movie. I've said for years that this is the best Fantastic Four movie we've ever gotten. And I'll still stand by that. Fantastic Four people, if you're trying to make another one, take some notes, because the family dynamic here is exactly what you needed in Fantastic Four if you just switch up the powers and roles a little bit. But I mean, this is it. This is the story. You're basically telling the first family's story, and it resonated with me so great when I saw it then, but seeing it now and putting it in that giant perspective, this movie was so ahead of its time when it came out that we've been talking about this whole 10 years thing with Iron Man, and it's been 10 years since Iron Man came out, and the Marvel Universe is reaching 10 years old, right? Well, this is 14 years old. That means for the people that thought Iron Man was way before its time, this was 4 years before, way before its time. Like, this thing came out when we weren't even thinking superhero, much less it was a genre. And it was so good. And to watch it again on the big screen and really sink it in again, I can't. This movie is perfection. I mean, the animation is dated. The animation's very dated, actually, but only for Pixar. Because if you were to put 14 years ago Pixar up against almost any other animation studio doing it now, they still make them look like they don't even know what they're doing. I mean, they still hold par totally with the best studios 14 years ago. So, like I said, it totally holds up. This film is still great. The animation's a little dated, but the story, the family story, is perfect. The superhero is perfect. It really gets that feel of, there's these old Superman cartoons like Bullet Man and stuff. I think they came out in the 50s and 60s. But I grew up with these things. My dad loved them too, and he put me on to them. And these old, just serial style, felt like you were an old radio show, but it had this old scale 50s, 60s buildings, except they were futurized. Well, futurized, because we're still not to that point right now. But that's kind of how Incredibles felt, except the first Incredibles, and I didn't realize this till last night, also sprinkled a whole lot of James Bond in there when it comes to their locales and stuff. Like, you've got the volcano and you've got the island, and it really feels like you took a James Bond movie and them old Superman cartoons and just smashed them together with the Fantastic Four. It was like, let's just sprinkle a little Fantastic Four on top. And what came out was, honestly, to me, one of Pixar's best movies Pixar's best movie that stretches generations no matter what. Like, there are some people that Toy Story just won't resonate with. They are that old, and I can't believe you're that old, because Toy Story is just a classic. But if you are, this will still resonate with you, because this will capture your superheroes. Not the ones we're growing up with now, but this will capture yours, and you'll just be transported right back into the heroes of our forefathers, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, great movie. Holds up perfectly. Loves to see it on IMAX. And it was the first part of this double feature that I honestly can't even call a double feature, because we're going to hit up Bao. That was the intermission thing, basically. It's not really intermission. All right, when you go see Incredibles 2, we're going to put Incredibles aside, because I think we all agree that Incredibles was great. So we're going to move on to Incredibles 2. When you go to see Incredibles 2, it's going to open up with bao or bao. I don't know how to say it. It's a dumpling. It's a short film about a dumpling. And that's simplifying it to the most simple extent, because I did not think you could cram this much emotion into a short ever. Like 4 or 5 minutes of every single emotion you can possibly go through, and it was entertaining and gut-wrenchingly just at the same time. I don't want to talk about it too much other than what they've already said. It's about a woman who, she's eating dumplings, and one of the dumplings comes to life, and she raises it as like basically her little kid because it's her little friend. She's lonely, and it deals with growing up. It deals with parent separations. It deals with a whole lot of stuff, and it does it in an almost shocking way. Like there was a point where the whole theater just kind of whoa, because it just gives this mind-blowing reveals throughout the whole thing. And like I said, no short should contain this much emotion. This actually became one of my favorite shorts I think I've ever seen, just due to the roller coaster of emotions that was all jammed into it. It was a really strange way to begin Incredibles, but it worked because this was a double feature. And Ben's this was a double feature. Incredibles 2 picks up exactly to the second where Incredibles leaves off. And you can only do this with animation, especially 14 years later. But it was just amazing, because if you wouldn't have told me any different, I would have thought that I got up for an intermission and then came and sat back down for Incredibles. And it's not only because the actual movie starts seconds into the other movie, it's also because, well, the quality is there. Like the story quality, it's also still there. This movie's just as good. If you ask my wife, she'll tell you it's better than the first one. This movie was great. It's a just natural segue. It feels so natural. Like I said, it feels like you're literally watching the same movie. Just keep going. You build from the illegal superhero storyline of the first one right into the how are we going to fix this and get people to accept superheroes again. I've actually got in my mind what they would do to make this a trilogy now, and as great as this one was, we're going to see it. There will be a trilogy here, and I can't wait. This is awesome. This movie was so much fun. The villain had kind of the villain was gave away. If you're really into movies, like, you'll catch on to that real quick. It's supposed to be a surprise. I think for my kids, it was a surprise. But I know my little one was like, whoa, she didn't know what was going on when the villain reveal happened, which was really cool. All the cast came back on point. Frozone, everyone's favorite piece from part one, even though he was only in it for like 5 to 10 minutes, comes back for this one, and he's got a really big part. The new heroes play a great part too. I don't know if you've seen the poster. There's a bunch of new hero wannabes. They play a great part in this as well. I'm not going to give out any spoilers as usual. I'm just going to get into how I really felt about the film. And like I said, right now I've got to see it again. This is totally on par with the first one, and it might surpass it, mainly because of the most shell-shocking reason to watching this double feature that really hit me when I was there. And that was, I mentioned it earlier, it's been 14 years since Incredibles. That's 14 years of Pixar animation getting better and better and better. And wow, did it show. Like, I mean, the second it picked back up, you knew you were seconds from the last one, but in quality of just animation-wise, you could totally tell you were somewhere different. But it was fun. The villain was fun. Jack's powers, like watching him raise Jack, because it's basically like a Mr. Mom story too for Mr. Incredible, while Elastigirl takes the front row of this one because she's going to put superheroes back in the limelight, per se. And the best part of this movie, hands down, there was a 5-minute portion of Jack's power reveal, what we've all been waiting for, and it was amazing. I was laughing for 5 minutes straight to the point where I was gushing tears out of my eyes, crying. It was so fun. Everything was handled so great. The comedy was natural and it was really good. It was refreshing to just see this family back 14 years later like nothing even happened, except for, hey, look, we got better at animating. It's like they got better cameras. It feels like they switched to HD lens all of a sudden after you were watching your home video for the first one. But other than that, story-wise, great. See this movie in the theater. I'm sorry you couldn't see the double feature. It was a one-day only thing if you're watching this and you missed it. Oh man, the double feature was great. Do yourself a favor, and before you go see this movie, watch the first one as close to going to see it as you can, because like I said, it segues into it great. I had a great time with this movie. My kids had a great time with this movie. Little one, teenager, both of them. Like I said, my wife liked it even more than the first one. I would suggest this movie to anyone who loves superhero movies, anyone who loved the first movie, hell, anyone who liked the first movie. You're going to enjoy this movie. Pixar has totally outdone themselves like they always do. I did not think they could outdo Incredibles. Like I said, it holds a place in my heart as the best Fantastic Four movie ever. Well, Fantastic Four, now they've got you times two. So if you take your movies, there's 3 of them that we know of that actually made it out. We'll scrap the one that didn't make it. So now you add there 2. You're -5 movies in the mix. Fantastic Four, you have 5 movies to catch up to what Incredibles has already done, because they have done this perfect. I can't wait to see where this goes from here. I'm thinking team movie, like some Avengers type stuff. Let's build up a team and really get some notice out there. Some super friends. You hear me, Pixar? I don't even want credit for that, but let's just do that, because that's what I love to see next. Y'all have to go see this movie in the theater. It's already going to do astronomical numbers, so let's help it do even bigger. Let's make sure that third one doesn't take 14 years and 2 Cars movies later to come out, because we need another one of these as soon as possible. This cast is great. We don't want them to get tied up doing anything else. This is the best voice cast I think been put together as a whole all around that we could just keep building on that I've almost ever seen. And I go see this movie. It was totally incredible. And before you go see it though, go down there, hit a like, hit subscribe, hit the bell, check out the descriptions, because we've got all kinds of stuff like our website. We got a Facebook page. You can keep up with what's going on the website, where we talk about everything in the world of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilms, the parks. Speaking of the parks, go to my Instagram. There's pictures of Walt Disney World all the time. I try to put up 1 or 2 a day if I can. Check that out. That's awesome too. Subscribe to it. And overall, just keep keeping up with us. We're got some really big things in the works. I know I've been teasing this for a while, but it's taken some time to get it rolling. But I'm telling you, this is about to be awesome. We're about to go all kinds of different places. Go see the movie. Keep up with us. Subscribe, like it, share with your friends, and in the immortal words of Frozone, woman, where's my super suit?